Name's Randy White. I was born and raised in Anderson, Indiana. Growing up in my household, uh, everybody was drinking and using. The kids would go get beers for the adults, and to me, that's what a normal household looked like. You know, uh, I had a couple friends whose parents didn't drink and stuff like that, and they felt odd to me. So growing up, my mind was kind of more warped towards that. So I started using when I was like 12 years old. I started smoking marijuana. It was the summer between sixth and seventh grade, and my buddy brought a joint over, asked did I want to smoke. So I smoked a joint with him, and after that, it was pretty much full time. You know, we go put money together, go get some weed, then next thing you know, start drinking. We go steal liquor out of Payless, CVS. We're the reason they put the things on top of the bottles, man. Uh, yeah, that went on for you know full time, man. From 12, just smoking and drinking every day. That's what my mind's consumed with. I started going to juvenile when I was like 15, and like from 15 to 18, I was in and out of the system, man. Whatever they told me to do, I did the opposite. Show up to probation, I'm not showing up. I had numerous, like, all my cases had to do with drugs, though. I'd break into cars or rob houses, man. I was a bad. There's no way I shouldn't have went to boys' school, but I lived in 15 to 18, man. My mom always told me, hey, when you turn 18, then then there's prison, so they won't play with you then. So, I always learned everything she told me would come to pass. She had 5 kids, and they worked so hard to pay the bills and keep clothes on all of us. So it's like, and I was the middle child. So it's like I pretty much ran wild. But like a week after my 18th birthday, I was over at a buddy's house, and I was trying to holler at this girl, and she shot me down, man, and it hurt my feelings. I'm like, I'm out of here. I got like 2 houses down, and a cop rolled by, rolled his window down. He's like, "Where you going, buddy?" I was like, "I ain't your friend." And he stopped the car and got out. He was like, "Run, I dare you." And I took off. He ended up tackling me a few streets down, busted my nose. But like my whole in and out, man, like, so and when I started going to jail, I'd just catch like PIs and stuff like that. Would you sit down for a second, they let you out. Uh, like 2006, well, 2004, I got with my kid's mom. When I got with her, she had a 1 month old baby, and the dad wasn't alive. So that was where God planted the seed right there. I took this baby in, and I started raising her as my own. And she's with me today. She's 20 years old, and I just had a grandbaby. Uh, so I started taking care of this baby, and that slowed me down a little bit. Uh, next thing you know, my mom gets sick in like 2006. My mom passed away of cancer. She had it for 2 months and then passed away. And that right there was just, I was into pills then. And like that done it right there. I questioned God, like, why, God? Why my mom of all people, the backbone of my family, the glue of my family, The only one I would ever listen to in my family was my mom. And like that just, you know, my brother didn't use drugs before my mom got sick. My brother started using drugs heavy, and it just devastated our family. She passes away, and like right after she passed away, I had my other daughter, Malia. That was the first baby born, blessed. I got a blessing right after that. But, I still catching little misdemeanors. 2010, I catch a dealing case, and I go to prison. And they gave me basically 10 to 5. And, when I got sent off then, my kid's mom got my kids taken away. while I was in prison. And that, man, that not having a purpose there, I'm not a dad. So when I got out, I was out for 6 weeks, and I just was getting high the day I got out. Like I gave up hope, man. I didn't, I still had asked God, why? We want to deny the power of God, but He's always the one that we curse, We can't see when you're not walking with Him. You can't see what you're meant to see, what He's trying to show you. So I was out for 6 weeks, went right back again. Again, the whole time I'm in prison, just a knucklehead, just losing time, fighting, getting high the whole time. I got out like the end of 2018. Like each time I went to prison was at least 4 years. I got out then. I was out for a year. I was doing all right. I worked like for 6 months. I was saving money, and I got with this girl, and her problems became mine. There was a high school friend, and I took all her problems and put it on my back. So everything I had going on went out the window, and it's just so far on her. Like, well, I went to jail. I ended up going to jail. I went up to probation. They tried to give me a urine test, and I told him I couldn't use the bathroom. He told me to go sit in the lobby. He said, "Don't leave." I'm like, "Don't leave." Okay. I left the courthouse. He violated me for that, for leaving. But when I got arrested that day, I'll never forget, man. I got arrested. The cops tackled me, and I was like, from here to that camera to a church, and I could barely lift my head up enough, and all I could see was the cross on the church. So that's God showing me a sign right there. Well, I went back to prison in 2019. Same cycle again. Catching ride-ups, losing time. I was at the lowest, very lowest point I've been in my life, to where I was questioning, why'd I wake up today, fighting, getting in situations to where I knew it was going to be a fight, and I didn't care. I did not care. I was putting other people's life at risk and my own, and I was in Plainfield, IYC, if anyone's been there. That's not the place to do it. But I went to the hole. I was in there, and I was at the very lowest. I found out my brother passed away when I was in there, and I get a letter, man, from my daughter, who I haven't talked to in 10 years, and that gave me my hope. That gave me that one hope that I could hold on to. She was asking about me, that she'd been thinking about me, because every night when I prayed, I always prayed for their protection, and just to know that I love them still, and pray that I would see them again. Well, she picked me up from prison the end of like 23. She picked me up from prison, and like I said, I was getting high in there. You can't just say, "Hey, I'm walking out of this prison, I'm not getting high no more." Everything I done in there followed me when I came out. I still had that addiction on my back, to where I got out. My daughter lived in Muncie at the time, and I'm from Anderson. So she had her own stuff going on, work and stuff, and I had her drop me off in Anderson, and I was getting just full blown. I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't eating, and that's not a good combination. I just was doing drug, and I was losing my mind in that. I couldn't talk to my daughter because I'm high, and it all come up to a boil. Like, I got out the day before Christmas, and just that drug, man, it don't pull no punches, man. It'll get you wherever you're at. Uh, I was at one of my buddies' house, and they just was feeding me dope everywhere I went. They was just giving me dope left and right, and I was so like out of my mind. Everywhere I go, I just was getting high. Well, I got a sack there, and I had a sack, And I went to my cousin's house and I was hallucinating everywhere I went. Like I was seeing like red and blue flashing lights everywhere. And I was thinking the cops were coming in. Well, I was watching, he had like a camera set up and it had 4 different views on there. And I'm telling him, I'm like, man, the cops are coming, man. The cops are coming in. He's like, no, they ain't, man. I said, yes, they are, bro. I said, I'm not going back to jail. And I walked in the kitchen, got a glass of water, and tore the top off the bag and swallowed this dope. It was like a quarter of meth, quarter of an ounce of meth. And then the next thing I know, like they said I was in the front yard taking my clothes off because my body was on fire. I woke up in the hospital 2 days later. And like when my eyes opened, I seen someone walking out of the hospital. And to me, that like my brother died in that exact same hospital. And I felt that was my brother telling me to walk out of that hospital. God opened my eyes. I knew that was the only reason, my eyes open was because there is a God. That's where I felt that mercy. He spared my soul. And, I was in the hospital hallucinating bad. Like, I thought I was in a room and the shift just came on. And I had like the blanket wrapped around me. And I was laying down and they thought I was asleep. They didn't know I'd been awake because this shift just came on. And I'm listening. I hear the lady say, make it look like an accident. And I thought she was trying to kill me. I thought they was trying to get me out. I seen some sketchy dudes up there. So, I get up, I pull this IV out of my arm and everything, and I tie this blanket around me. I'm like, not today. So whenever this guy tried to walk in, I went to the door and I was like, you're not coming in here, bro. He's like, what do you? I said, I know what's going on. I said, you're not coming in here. I said, I'm leaving. I didn't sign myself in here. I'm leaving right now. And he made a fuss, and this lady come in. She's like, you don't know me. I said, it don't matter who I know or who I don't know. I said, I'm leaving here today. I left out of there hallucinating. And, everywhere I go, I thought people were the cops or they was trying to kill me. And I went to my sister's house. And, it's a surprise. She let me in like 2 something in the morning. You know what I mean? Usually, hey, if I'm asleep, the door's locked, ain't no one coming in. But I was laying down, or she was laying down, come beating on the door. She let me in. My niece, she's like 8 months old. She was in the bedroom, and I hear her crying. I go in there and get her, not bringing her living room with me. And I set her on the floor. I went to the bathroom. I came back. She was all the way across the floor. And I'm like, man. So I get down. I'm like, where's your nose at? She went right to her nose. I'm like, where's your ear at? She grabbed her ear. And at that moment, my high left me, man. It's like, she's not trying to kill me. God used that baby to bring me out of that tweak, man. All that drugs I done, like, there's no way I should have come out of that with my mind, And God used, that's how much He loves us. He used that baby to pull me out of that tweak. And from that day, I went straight to my other sister's house in the morning, woke her up. I told her I'm going to rehab. She's like, I'm like, man, I'm going to rehab. I've had enough. I'm done. And then, at first they got to take it as a game because I've never done this before. So they take it as a game. And, I even got my daughter there. She's like, Dad, I'm not doing it. We're not. I said, I'm going to rehab today. I'm going to rehab. I'm done. I'm going. So, I ended up going to Recovery Works, sit through the 28 days. Then I knew I've been doing drugs for 28 years. Like, that's not enough. I went to another place called PHP, and that's a 21-day program. And I knew, that wasn't enough, man. I was praying about it. And then I got the application to come to the program I'm in now, the Pathways. But like throughout that time, I developed a relationship with God. to where I couldn't go 10 minutes without getting high or chasing something or doing something destructive. You know, I've been out of prison now 14 months. You know, I've been clean for 14 months. Well, it's like 13 months. But, you know, the whole time I've just been building that relationship with God and making a choice that I got to sacrifice. You got to sacrifice something, man, to pick up your cross. You got to put something down to pick up that cross and walk with God. You can't walk with the world and walk with God. You know what I mean? But yeah, man, God's the only reason I'm not dead right now or walking in my addiction. It's because of Him, man. So God bless you, man. I hope that helps somebody. God bless you.